What's up, guys? This is a 2004 GMC that we're doing a flex plate replacement on. The first step I'm going to do is remove the drive shaft bolts. They are all 11 millimeter. Good morning, Witchwood. So I'll be back after I have them off. So the easiest way to pop these out, they get stuck in there, is you put a pry bar in here and just pop it like that. Get this end down and wrap that up. Wrap that U-joint up with tape. Because you do not want those caps to come off. Because if they do, you'll have the little needle bearings go everywhere and you'll hate your life, pretty much. So we'll say that's wrapped up good enough. If you look right up in here, you'll see a clamp right there. Just when you snip that off, that's just a boot to help keep dust and water from getting in there, to keep it from rusting. And that band is off, and now I should be able to slide that right on off. So what I'm doing here is I have to spin the rear drive shaft to access a couple of the bolts. I used a small flathead screwdriver or a pry bar, but we all know screwdrivers are pry bars. So pop the linkage off, so now I can move that 2 notches to get it in neutral. And now that it's in neutral, I can rotate this to access the rest of the bolts. I'm not going to record the whole thing because my air hose is incredibly loud. But I will be back after I get them off, and remember, these are all 11 millimeter on GMs. Okay, same thing as before, guys. I got the bolts out. I used the pry bar to pop it out, and then this will just slide out of the transfer case. And as you can see, I taped the end up to keep the bolts from coming out on the drive shaft, or to keep the U joints from coming out. Now that I have both drive shafts out, I'm going to work on dropping the cross member so I can get it angled down enough to actually get up there and work. All right, so I got the 4 cross member bolts out. They're all 21 millimeter. Our transmission jack is not working, so I'm going to try this a different way, not knowing how this is going to turn out. I don't know if there's enough room to get everything to slide back. Problem number 450, the O2 sensor delay of getting the bolts out. And that O2 sensor looks like it's completely rusted in place. Let's go over here and try these. So those bolts came right out. But I still have this one right here that is stuck right by the O2 sensor. So I'm going to drop this down as low as I can get it. And it looks like the tail shaft of the transfer case is resting. Now I might be able to get that out now that it flexed down that far. Okay folks, after some banging and twisting and cursing and yelling and swearing, the old man got the bolt out. Now when I put these back in, I'm going to put them in this way so that won't be a problem again. Now I'm going to pull the starter out, which is probably the easiest part of the whole job. It is literally two 13 millimeters, one right here, one right here. I'm leaving all the wires hooked up, and I'm just shoving it out of the way. And that'll be the opening to get the flex plate bolts off the torque converter. Actually, you can see one right up there. So guys, here you can see the one torque converter bolt. It is very hard to turn it because it keeps wanting to spin the whole flywheel. So what I ended up doing was going through the inspection cover and just locking it in place like this. It is very hard to record under here because there's no place to set up my stand, but I'll be back once I get the bolts out. So there's 3 torque converter bolts, and as you can see, the flex plate is not supposed to be there. Alright guys, this whole job's turned into a shit show because of not having a working tranny jack that goes up. So here I am, an old ass 45-year-old man down on my knees trying to do this. I wedged the socket up in there. Let me get my light. I wedged the socket up in there to hold the tranny back far enough to get to the bolts. It gives me just enough room to get in there and get the bolts out. I have to put a breaker bar on the crank pulley to hold everything still. But as you can see, I did not drop the cross member for the suspension, the torsion bars. I left the exhaust on. There's 8 bell housing bolts and there's one directly in the top, but I have a super long extension around here somewhere that worked great for getting them all out. It's not too hard other than being on my knees. So I will get back to you after I get the flex plate out. Thank you. Okay guys, I got the flex plate out, and as you can see, it is definitely broken. I am going to put this son of a bitch back together because this was a gigantic pain in the ass doing it on the ground like this. And yeah, I'll try to get a little bit more video for you, but we'll see what I can do. Okay guys, the flex plate is in, and this is a recap. This is the super long extension I used. It's 1/2 inch on one side and then 3/8 on this side, so you can put a smaller socket on and fit it in the tighter places. I used a 15 deep swivel, a 13 deep swivel, 21 millimeter for the cross member, and a 10 millimeter and 13 millimeter for the starter bolt and 15 millimeter for all the flex plate bolts. So it wasn't really a lot of tools. It's the fact that I was down on my knees, crammed in there, trying to make something work that I didn't have a tool for. And that is a tranny jack that does not go up. If I had to do it different, I would say I'd probably end up pulling the transfer case off, not hard to get off, and then I could have got it slid back a little farther, so I didn't have to lay there and fill up in there. I did not have to remove the exhaust. I didn't remove the torsion bars. I didn't remove the torsion bar brackets. So like I said, I got it done. It took me a lot longer than I wanted to, probably about 5 hours, and I'm still sore, and this is the very next day. I just didn't feel like recording anymore. But I hope this video helps out. I know it wasn't the greatest, but I had trouble recording under it. So please, if you like it, if you thought it was some kind of informative, like and subscribe. Thanks.